All right, hello, fellow coder. Welcome back to this next lesson in our FreshVotes series where we are building a real-world Java web app from scratch. So in this lesson, we have a couple things to get into. Namely, it's going to be the comments. Being able to add a comment below a feature request, whether or not you own the said feature request. I say a couple things. It's a few things that's on my mind. The next thing is I realized we need to be able to reply to other comments. So if someone sends a comment, you can have someone else reply to that existing comment, kind of like in threads, you know. I don't know if our database schema is set up to support that. That wasn't something I was thinking about. I was just saying, you add a comment to a feature, but I didn't, and that's how it's set up, but I don't think it's set up to be able to add a comment to a comment. You know what I mean? You can add a comment to a feature, but not necessarily a comment to a comment. So that's going to be something that we're going to have to take into account as well. But I think we can push through and start the implementing the feature of being able to add a comment to a feature, because that has to happen first. And I don't think, sort of running it through my mind and saying it out loud right now, I don't believe it will cause issues with the database schema and changing it afterwards. I don't think it'll cause, if it does cause problems, it shouldn't be too much of a headache to do the workaround. Anyway, point is, I want to get to creating the comments visually and having that functionality here because I've been saying it for so long now that we're going to be doing this. So I want to stick to my word and actually do this now. So let's create some comments. The other tiny note that I want to make, in the previous video, I was clicking around and having trouble finding the one feature that was grayed out. It was, I believe this one was grayed out. And I realized why I had trouble finding it. If you notice, the add better UI features for XYZ is the last feature, but if I refresh, it changes around. So as I refresh this page, these things change around. You might say, well, what the heck? Why is the order changing? Well, the order is changing because these are stored as a hash set. A hash set does not store order, okay? A linked hash set stores order, but that's not what we're using. We're just using a plain old hash set. So that's why the order keeps changing. So that's something, that's a to-do item. I just wanted to make a note of that because I couldn't figure out why I was having such a hard time finding this one, because I thought that they were in order. Anyway, let's get to creating a comment. So how do we do this? We need to first figure out what page we are working with. So I believe that page is, let me go into my code. It will be in source main resources templates. I think it is the product user view, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure, yeah, create feature request. No, it's not. Feature is the one with the save button. Yes, feature is the one that we want. So feature.html is the page that we are going to be modifying to be able to add comments to. And the comments, I believe, should appear below the sort of feature stuff with the save button. So below the form, which is right, where's the form? Here's the form. So below here, right? So div, add comments here, right? So if I save this, refresh, boom, you see add comments here goes below the save button. And then we can just, quickly add some margin top of, let's say 1.5, or let's say 2 ems. Refresh, just so it gives a little bit of padding. And then maybe here we can say, instead of add comments here, we can have an H2 and have a title saying comments, right? And then below comments, we will have the actual comments themselves. So, we're going to have some sort of mechanism to do a th each over each of the comments, on the model. But the problem is that the comments here, there's no comments on the model. So if I refresh, there's going to be an error. At least I imagine there would be an error. Oh, I guess I thought it would cause an error because comments doesn't exist on the model. So I was expecting it to conk out on me here and give me some sort of 500 exception. Apparently it doesn't. Interesting. So anyway, there are no comments on the model because we haven't added them yet. So how do we add comments to the model? Well, that is in feature controller, I believe. Feature controller get mapping for this guy, right? So we're looking at products, product ID, features, feature ID is the URL structure. Products, product ID, features, feature ID. So products, products ID, features, then where's feature ID for get mapping? Right here. So this is the method that we're going to be modifying, just as we did before. We added that user to the model. Now we should also put comments, right? But what are the comments? Where are we getting the comments from? I believe we will need to double check our database model. So a comment in our database is linked to a user and a feature. So the comment should be part of a feature. So if I go to my entity, my feature entity, I should see that there is a comment somewhere. Oh, how come I don't see? I see a product. Am I losing my marbles here? FreshVotes comment has a feature ID. So a feature, a comment belongs to feature. So shouldn't feature have many comments? Comment is here. Comment ID. Okay, so we have this is an embeddable. Okay, so this is like a join table. Okay, so let me think. Right? Do we have a join table for comment, feature, product users vote? Comment has a user ID and a feature ID. Many to one to user. Oh, many to one to a feature. Sorry, so it's a one-to-many relationship, not a many-to-many. At least I don't believe it's a many-to-many, right? But a feature does not hold a reference to a comment. Did I do that on purpose? I can't recall if I did that on purpose when I first... yeah, because votes as well. Votes don't... it doesn't look like... So a vote has the same thing. It has a vote ID, and the vote ID points to a feature. So that's how the database tables were created appropriately, because the database tables look okay to me. Looks like vote, has a user ID and a feature ID. So that's fine. Okay. So now let me think. How do I find out that a given feature has comments, right? How do I find out what comments a given feature has? It would have been nice for me to say feature.get comments, and I feel like I want to do that. So we're going to have to, again, modify. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm trying my best to get the comments up and running, but it looks like I need to make another modification to our data model here, because I want the feature to be able to point to comments. So I believe we should have a set of comments, comment objects, comments equals new hash set, right? Control-Shift-O to organize my imports here to bring in the appropriate imports at the top of the screen. And then we need to have I did Alt-Shift-S and then R to create getters and setters. Okay, I'm automatically going to generate a getter and setter for the set of comments. And then we need a relationship, which I believe is one-to-many, right? So let me just go back to the feature has a user ID and a product ID. Comment has a user ID and a feature ID. So that, the comment bears the burden of holding the foreign key back to the parent object. So yeah, in terms of Hibernate models and whatnot, I believe this is how you would do it. You would just have a comment. The only thing I'm wondering is, do I need to have it store a comment ID? Because there's this comment ID object. So this is a bit uncharted territory in my, just in terms of my normal stuff that I do with Hibernate or JPA. I guess this is more JPA than some more generic stuff that we're working with here. JPA is the implement, or sorry, Hibernate is the implementation of JPA. So JPA is like the interface in terms of like the Java world. Hibernate is the implementation of the JPA interface. That's how I think of it in my mind. So really, saying Hibernate or JPA here is kind of interchangeable because I'm using Hibernate, which leverages JPA. So anyway, semantics. So let me say fetch type is lazy, just because that tends to be the best way to do things. I always default to lazy unless there's a compelling argument for using an eager fetch. Also cascade equals what? So if I were to delete a feature, would I cascade delete all the comments associated with that feature? I feel like that's fair, right? I feel like it's fair to delete all the comments. Yeah, I feel like that's okay. So I will do cascade all. And then mapped by. So maybe the mapped by will get me here. So what in the comment, how do I map a feature? Yeah, see the comment the feature is mapped inside of the comment ID. So I think I need to say pk dot feature, right? You see what I did there? Sorry, we're going back to where'd it go? I was working with feature. Yes. So how do we, in terms of comments and the relationship between a feature, because we're modifying a feature, the public class feature is what we're working with. So how is a feature mapped inside of a comment, right? Mapped by what? Normally I would just say feature, right? Because typically that's how it works. The variable name that we're using to map a feature on the child side usually is just the name of the parent class, which is feature. But in this case, it's actually pk.feature. Because if I go into comment, in order to get to the feature, comment is pk is the name of the variable, and inside of pk we have feature, so it's pk.feature. Okay, so if I restart my let me first save my cancel everything here, save the feature. Oh yeah, and I need to put something here. Shoot, let me put null for now, just so I have there's no compilation errors, and I just want to make sure that when it boots up, there's no JPA exceptions, which it doesn't look like there are. So I think maybe I did that correctly. Cool. That's somewhat promising. So the next thing is, let me stop the server. The next thing is to be able to leverage or to get those comments, right? So when I say feature service find by ID, feature ID, I'm getting the specific feature. And if it's present, then I put it on the model. So if the feature is present, I'm going to move my comment model put statement here up, because I want to do feature opt.get, and I'm just going to export this to a local variable. So I'm going to do Alt-Shift-L to do an extract. Sorry, not export, extract. So you see what it does here. It says feature opt.get. It assigns it to the word feature. That way I can just say feature here. Makes things easier, because I'm going to do feature again. So instead of saying feature.get twice, I'm just saying feature.get equals feature. Just less typing. So I'm going to say feature.get comments. Right? That's the whole point. I want to get all the comments and put them on the model as comments. Now, whether or not this actually works is going to be the next question, because like I said, the comments are lazily loaded, so that might not actually grab, it might load the comments when we execute this. We'll see what happens, because like I said, it's lazily loaded, so we'll have to see what's up. So let me reboot the server. Actually, I want to reboot it in debug mode. And I got text while that's booting up. Okay. Sometimes my wife texts me, and you need to make sure everything's okay when your wife texts. So here we go. Boom. Feature dot find by ID. If it's present, it is. Get it. Put it there. Feature dot comments. Okay, so there's no, there was no exception there, so that's good. If I look at the model, there probably still won't be any comments. Yeah, comments is blank because that's true. There are no comments, right? So that's still valid code. So comments, there still are none. Fair enough. The next thing we need to do here is be able to add a comment. So I'm going to manually insert one in the database, just because we're starting to run short on time for this particular video. I'm going to manually insert one. So select start from comment, and the text will be, testing comment. The user ID will be, I guess, 1. The feature ID will be 4, or no, 3, I think is what we're working with. Let me apply. And do I need to put any other data anywhere else? I don't think so. I think it's just, since it's one-to-many, this is the only place that I need to sort of manage foreign keys and whatnot. So, yeah, because I'm looking at feature ID 3 right now. So if I refresh, let's go back in here. Feature.getComments hypothetically should have a value now. Oh my god, it does. Look at that. It worked. Okay. So again, it should be marked as lazily loaded, but I guess by default it will load that through the lazy instantiation. Okay, cool. So now in the feature, now I'm iterating through the comments. Now what I can say is, have a div in here. I guess I can have a span because I have a div already for each comment. It'll create a div. So I'll do th text and say comment dot, what is it, text? I don't know what I'm storing in comments. Comments is, yeah, text is the name of the property. So that way I can output the text to the screen. Refresh the page. Oh, I'm stuck in my breakpoint. Let me hit play. Look at that, testing comment. So fantastic. So I can't believe I did that all correctly out of the box. I guess now that I've done it correctly and it works, it makes sense to me that that it should have worked. But it's always nice to have that kind of pleasant surprise. So yeah, the main modification that, again, just to review, what we needed to do there was in the feature object, the feature did not have a reference to comments. And that's just a bit annoying. I want to be able to say feature.get comments, right? That's how I wanted to do it in the feature.html page, feature controller. I wanted to be able to say feature.get comments to put them on the model. And feature did not have comments before this video, so I needed to add them. And the curveball was that when I tried to add them, the primary key of the comment entity is a what's called an embedded, I believe. Is that what it's called? Embedded? Embeddable. So it's an embeddable ID, which is essentially, it's a not compound. Is it compound? Oh, I forget my SQL terminology. Compound key? No, is it when you have multiple columns that make up a key? I should know this. This is embarrassing. But anyway, when you have, it's, brain fart. When you have multiple columns that together make up a primary key for that table, or a key for that table, a unique key. That's what's going on here. The unique key for this comment table is user combined with feature. Okay, so and now let me just think about that too while we're on the topic of this unique key for the table. Let me see. Unique, no. So there's a foreign keys goes back to feature and user. Primary key is feature user. So feature ID, user ID. So this is saying that for a comment, we cannot have two comments for the same user and feature. Now that I think about that, I don't know if that's correct, because what that's kind of saying, if I'm not mistaken in my head, is we're kind of saying a user can only comment once on any given feature. That doesn't seem to make sense. You should be able to comment as many times as you like on a feature. So now that I'm looking at this, I don't agree with this key setup. Okay, so that's a problem. I mean, it works for one. Well, I can mimic it right now, right? So testing comment, I'll say testing comment number 1. Oops, number 1. Okay, and I'll apply that and say apply and finish. And then I'll add another comment, testing comment number 2 from user ID 1 for feature ID 3, right? So we're adding a second comment to the same feature. And if I say apply and go, yeah, there is an error applying it because it's going to say operation failed. There is a blah, 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 duplicate entry for primary key. Yeah, exactly. So the foreign key, the key constraint here is stopping us from from entering a second comment, which that's not good. So this is, again, another very good example of when I first created this entity model, this domain model, I thought it was good. I thought it should work, but yeah, it doesn't. This is not correct. So we need to modify the data model in two ways. First, we need to address this key situation, right? Probably what we need to do is the comment, since the user can comment as many times as they like on a given feature, the comment table should probably have its own primary key. It should just have a comment ID, because I don't see any reason why you should limit the number of comments that you can make on a given feature. I can't imagine. I don't see any reason why you'd ever want to limit that. I mean, you can limit it in terms of, like, if one person is spamming it with like 500 comments in a row, yeah, you could stop that from happening. But that doesn't need to be a database side of thing. That could be something else. So I think we should just have this table should be a plain old regular table that just has a comment ID as the primary key, like any other table that we have here. So it doesn't need to be a special table. I think potentially the reason why the comment table looks like it does is because the vote table, this vote table, the upvote and downvote thing, this should have that functionality, right? When you vote, you should, as a user in a feature, you should only have one vote on a specific feature, right? You should be able to either upvote a feature or downvote a feature, but not twice. So I believe that's probably where my mind went. That's probably why this error occurred and leaked in here, was because I did a copy paste on the vote table, and I was like, the comment table should probably work just like the vote table. Because the vote table, you should have one and only one vote on any given feature. So that makes sense for the vote table, but not for the comment table. So there you go. Now I realize I'm not completely mad. It's that's probably where this came from, was a simple copy paste type error. So there you go. In the next video, we'll address the concern of the comment table, and we'll shift the data model around so that we can bring in this new concept of posting as many times as we like, and also I probably want to talk about, since we're already messing with the data model, I want to talk about the how we would then structure it so that you can not only comment on a feature, but comment on a comment, right? So in terms of data model, that's definitely going to have an impact. So we'll see how my brain tackles that in the next session. Hopefully you guys stick around for that. I'm sure it's going to be compelling stuff. So thanks so much for watching. Again, if you're on YouTube and you like this content, like the way it's done, please feel free to subscribe. Always helps me get up in the rankings in the Google/YouTube. And leave a like if you like this video. And do leave a comment on the video if you have any questions, concerns, comments, whatever you like. I look forward to hearing from you guys there. So as always, take care of yourselves. Happy learning. Bye for now.